So I figured I'd mention this right up top here. We're recording, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna mention this right up top here because last episode, right, I was making that really funny bit when we were talking about Cobra Commander about Star Wars, because you said rebels. They're like they was fighting the rebels. And I remember there's the way I ended that bit was I was like, and then Cobra Commander got in his TIE fighter and said, "Luke, I am your father." And I realized when I was editing a couple days ago, I had a huge missed opportunity to say Duke, I am your father, instead of Luke, I am your father.
Damn.
And I just wanted to say that up top because it was gonna bug me otherwise. I was like, damn, I should have. You had
some missed opportunity there.
Yeah. Did you see that someone is killing the children and Sacrificers are coming back in April?
I did not. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Sacrificers. That cover looks fucking dope, man. Like,
oh my god, I gotta go find it.
So cool. And it's the first week of April for Sacrificers. And the synopsis sounds super fucking cool as well. Like that sounds like it's gonna be a really interesting issue. And then for something that's killing the children, it's another flashback arc, it looks like. So yeah, I don't know. You know how I feel about this series, Sebastian. I fucking hate it. Just kidding. It's good, but I have been a little bit less enthused about it as of late.
Yes.
But I do think it's fine. Hopefully.
Grim is also coming back in April.
Oh no! What? Where?
Grim is right next to Sacrificers, actually.
Oh shit! I thought that series was over. Yeah,
I thought so too.
Oh no. Listen, I don't even hate Grimm, but oh shit, yep, you're right. I don't even hate Grimm, but I don't like it that much. All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Earth's Mightiest Comics. This is the show where every week we talk about the new comics that came out that week and we give our thoughts and opinions on them. Apologies if you hear some like couch noises in this. I have a new chair, and if I move,
Demonstrate.
Oh God. Okay, hang on. If you hear this going on throughout the episode, sorry about that. Or like big clicking, my armrests are adjustable, but then sometimes I like they turn, right? So like sometimes I'll just be this is really good audio content. Sometimes I'll just be like, resting my arm and then it'll just shift, right? So that happens. That's what that is. So yeah, apologies if there's any of that. I'm gonna try and kind of figure out a way for me to sit without without majorly just scraping against the chair. But anyway, so this is it's a week where we don't have any like huge high profile number ones or anything this week, but we do have, I think, some pretty solid stuff. So to start out here, we're going to talk about, generally just some of the stuff we'll be talking about. We'll be talking about new issues of G.O.D.S, Immortal Thor, The Flash, Green Arrow, kind of stuff like that. But then I think, even though this is not normally how we do things, I think today we should start out with Titans Beast World number 5. I know we normally kind of do the events last, but I'm going to be titling this episode about who Dr. Hate actually is. So because of that, we gotta put the Beast World stuff right at the start. So It's Titans Beast. We don't have to do Star City. We can save that for last if you want to. Just bookend the episode. But this is Titans Beast World number 5. It is written by Tom Taylor. We have a couple artists on this one listed. It's Ivan Reis and Eduardo Pansica. So I don't really remember a lot of what happened in this one, other than the reveal right at the end, because that is kind of the big thing.
That's kind of, I remember Nightwing goes to talk to Waller.
Because Waller is gonna essentially she addresses the U.S. She's like, "Hey, I'm Amanda Waller. I am doing stuff. I'm in charge of the country essentially." Waller's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna come and do government stuff now." And she's essentially like, "Yeah, we're gonna just bomb all the beasts. We're gonna get some drones. We're gonna bomb all the beasts." So yeah, Dick goes to talk to her and is like, "Hey, let's not do that." But Waller is obviously not listening. We're gonna talk about that a little bit more because Waller, there's a big revelation about Waller in this week's Green Arrow issue. But so yeah, Waller obviously doesn't agree, and then Cyborg is like, well, I'll just take control of the drones and not blow up everybody. So that's kind of how that. But then Waller is like, you just like broke into our drone network. The U.S. like the people of the U.S. are not going to be happy about that. I might just be stupid, but like, why? I don't like, there's never really, no matter like who is in government, there's never really much love for the government in the real world.
No,
so I personally, and I know like, public perception on superheroes in the DC universe right now is not great. But I don't think I would really be that fussed if the Titans were just like, yeah, we just took control of this drone network because they were about to bomb a bunch of people. Like, I don't really think I would have a problem with that personally.
And I mean, like, it's the Titans technically, like, they're not the ones that started this whole problem, but they will be blamed for it because obviously it's a member of their team, right?
Yeah, right.
And I remember during the press conference when she said, like, hey, yeah, we're just going to, like, nuke all the rest of the animals. People were like, but like our family members, and Waller was just like, yeah, sucks for them.
Yeah, too bad.
But we have to do what's best for like the rest of the world, so they have to die for America. And it's just like, like
it's a very American thing to do.
Yeah, exactly. Like Nightwing's like, do they have to die though?
Yeah.
And so he takes over the missiles. But not everybody's gonna see it that way. Waller's gonna paint it in her image, so regardless, it's gonna look bad for them, even if they had I feel like even if they had just like left it, it still would have just been the exact same in the end.
Yeah. The big thing though, obviously, is the reveal of who Dr. Hate actually is. Sebastian and I thought about this a little bit off air after we finished recording last week, because we have been recording these on Wednesdays when the next the comics for next week have come out. So I know you were not a fan, because the reveal is that it's Dr. Hate is actually is another version of Raven. So how do you feel about it now, having read the issue? Because I do think it plays better in context.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. See, I was gonna say that I like it more now, right? Because I literally last week, guys, I literally just went to literally the last page. And I just saw the other Raven there. I was like, all right, I hate this. This is dumb as frick. Like, it's so stupid. And reading into it, it does a good job of explaining why this why this other Raven is there and stuff, and essentially why she not why she became Dr. Hate, but why she kind of does what she does,
and how it's even possible.
Yes, obviously, but so it's like the demon side of Raven.
Yes, which is usually trapped inside the little diamond on her forehead, except it's revealed in this and they really foreshadow it too in this. They're there's a whole conversation about Raven. She's like, sometimes I just want to let that demon side out now that Gar's dead. I just want to unleash it all on the world. So they really fucking foreshadow it in this issue. But it turns out that demon side of Raven has just not been in the diamond for a while now. So again, I'm not going to spoil what happens, but I've flipped through the next issue and I know kind of what goes on with that as well. So there's some interesting things going forward that I will talk about next week when we talk about the finale. But yeah, so I do think I definitely think that plays better in context than it did just kind of flipping to the back of it. Because even I was kind of open to holding my opinion until I kind of had read the full thing. But I saw that and I was like, that is certainly a direction to take this. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. At first I thought, because when I first to the back of the book, I thought it was just going to be some alternate universe that was just it had an evil version of her that just happened to come to our universe.
And everybody's fucking sick of the multiverse.
Yeah, I was like, damn, this is just dumb, bro. I feel like it's always the same thing at this point.
Yeah.
But I was wrong, which kind of happy I was. This is a much better take on it in the end. And I mean, I don't know. I don't remember if they ever went over this because it's been a while. But I don't remember exactly where the helmet itself is from. don't
No,
know if
I
that's
don't
like a
actually
whole
know if they
thing.
have gone over that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if that. So that's like another thing we can, we still have to figure out is what
Yeah.
exactly the helmet is now.
Well, yeah, I mean, I do think this is still pretty decent. I think it has still dropped though over the first couple issues of this event. I do think it just doesn't feel quite as, I don't know, it doesn't feel as big as it did in the earlier parts of the event.
Yeah. It's it definitely feels like we're slowing down as we reach the conclusion. Like sometimes it's like it's a slow start and then like a hard at like just like a really like like fast paced ending, and then
Yeah.
for some it's just like we start off like really like not fast like well yeah just like strong like fast paced really good, and then it slows down as we get towards the ending, and that's definitely what's happening here. Is like we're just slowing
Yeah.
down a bit, and then as we get to the ending here.
Right.
So
Yeah, but it's I still think it was good. It's
mhm.
not amazing, but I ended up giving it a 7. I think it was pretty solid.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also gave it a 7. It's it's a nice little just like info not info dump, but like like just nice info reveals that we
Yeah.
got, and it's kind of nice to get it right here right before the ending rather than just
Right.
like dumping it all in the middle, not doing anything with it, and then just like finishing it off. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was alright.
All right.
We're just gonna finish off Beast World here.
You don't want to just do a Beast World sandwich?
Not really.
Okay. Well, I am currently trying to pull up Titan's Beast World Tour Star City. It does not want to load right now.
Yeah, that is
But
a website thing because it's not loading for me either.
Oh, it is. Okay. Yeah, I was like, I really hope my Wi-Fi doesn't just like cut out and then my end of the recording just goes dead. Okay, well, I guess, for now we'll just kind of wing it then. Sorry, creators of this issue. I cannot tell. I cannot see who you are, but I know that Joshua Williamson and Jamal Campbell are the creative team on the first story here. So, okay, yeah, this is the final of the Beast World tie-ins, actually just period. But also in particular, the stuff that is focused on the kind of going around the different cities and kind of taking a look at each of the kind of how it's affecting each of these kind of hero hubs of the DC universe. So some of the other writers, we also have Robert Venditti, Ryan Parrott, and Ted Brandt, and then some other artists we have on this are Gavin Guidry, Ro Stein, and Roger Cruz. So I think the first like 10 pages of this are the best. I like the dynamic between Oliver and his son Connor in that first one, where they go to that facility, and the Resurrection Twins are there. Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Okay. And they're kind of using they're using the spores to kind of do some experiments and stuff. So I like the interplay between Ollie and Connor there. I think it works well. I do think because that series kind of that story kind of bookends the two other anthology stories in this. I don't think it ends as strong as it starts. I like the Connor making a trick arrow on the fly thing, and kind of the resolution between him and Ollie. But I do feel like it also kind of feels a little bit not rushed but quick on that front, to the point that I thought it didn't feel super natural how it flowed. But then there's the middle story where it's Dinah and Sienna, who is Red Canary. They are just doing some Beast World stuff as well. This one I think is pretty decent. It's essentially Red Canary freezes because there's a situation where she has to make a choice between helping kind of one group of people or another, or kind of fighting the beast off, or kind of one of those kind of dilemmas there. And it's her kind of coming to grips with the fact that when you're in the superhero life, you just have to make a choice. Like, you're not always going to make the right one, but you just got to make one, because otherwise everybody's going to get fucked. And so it's kind of her learning that from Dinah, and kind of learning to come into her own as a hero a little bit. The Jungle Society of America. Oh, right. Okay, so then the other one is Boom, Judy Garrick currently from the Jay Garrick The Flash series, and then Alan Scott, Green Lantern, get turned into Beast. Alan Scott gets turned into a big frog that has a Green Lantern ring, which is kind of funny. And then so it's Huntress, Red Arrow, and who is Oliver's daughter, Emiko Queen, and then Stargirl, kind of trying to take down those beasts. I think that one is my least favorite of the three. It's still fine, but yeah, I do think that was the least. So I don't know. Overall, I think this is fine. Again, it's kind of on par with I think with a lot of the other Beast World tie-ins. It's not amazing, but I think it's fine.
Yeah, I think in the end, I think my favorite one was the Red Canary one. Simply just because of that like lesson and stuff in that thing. You don't really see a lot of like superheroes talk about that.
Yeah.
To like, especially when like they're like training new things or whatever. You never really see people talk about like that whole decision making process, like how do they make it. So like that I felt like was like super interesting to me, like just like finally see that in like words and writing. And like for them to actually, for the sidekick to actually like also just use it like right away, to see them use it right away.
That feels a little bit convenient.
Yeah, I mean, definitely convenient,
but
like, you know, and you know, even for like, you know, Diana to like after she made like this decision, she was like, yeah, that was the right decision. Like, save the people rather than, you know, me myself who handles this type of stuff anyway. So
yeah.
But yeah, you know, like you said, it's just, you know, another tie-in that like, I don't know, man. These tie-ins just kind of
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't feel I don't feel as exhausted with these as I did with Night Terrors, but
oh, goodness no.
But I also don't think there's been a tie-in for this series that's been as good as some of the better Night Terrors.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%.
So yeah, I gave this one a 6 out of 10. It's fine.
I gave it a 7 out of 10. Yep.
All right. The site's having issues again, so we're gonna do our best here. I think maybe I will talk about the Punisher.
Okay.
This is written by David Pepose. The artist is Dave Wachter. It's the Punisher #3. Here's the thing with this one. I think this is fine. I still think it's pretty decent. What I have now just learned, though, after reading this past issue, I realized that I didn't see one listed for April. And then I thought about it, and I was like, come to think of it, I don't remember seeing one listed for March either. And sure enough, this is a 4-issue miniseries, which I don't think it was marketed as. I'm not positive that it was marketed as an ongoing, but I'm almost positive that it was not marketed as a mini. So now I'm kind of just like, well, this issue was fine, and I'll kind of get into this issue in particular a little bit more, but this issue wasn't great. And so now it's like, well, there's only one issue left, and I don't really, you know, the way this issue leaves things off, it's kind of a cliffhanger, but it's a cliffhanger I don't particularly care about. So I don't actually know if I'm going to end up picking up the next issue. We'll see though when we get there. Anyway, as far as this issue goes, it's essentially Joe is getting hunted down by the cops, particularly those two police that have kind of been taking lead on the whole explosion of his house and everything. So they kind of get him cornered in this warehouse where the Fearmaster also is, who I did not know this going in, but is Mr. Fear's daughter. So that is one thing I will say about this series that I have liked quite a lot. It's really good at taking like obscure deep cut villains from like the 60s and 70s and kind of bringing them in here, because it's done that in every issue. We had Mr. Hyde in the first one. Last issue there was like the Eel was one of the group. And then yeah, the Fearmaster in this one. So this is a pretty standard, like the main hero faces their fears. This really feels like it's kind of like this is where the origin story for the Punisher for this version of the Punisher kind of finishes, I think. And then next issue will be like, this is like he's embraced the role of the Punisher now. Because yeah, he's really like on the back foot for a lot of this one. He's getting hallucinations from Fearmaster, who is essentially just like Scarecrow. And so he's kind of like, he's hallucinating his family, you know, and they're kind of all like yelling at him and being like, you can't come and be with us yet. You can't die. We're not gonna make it that easy for you. And so he's kind of like, oh shit, I need to be the Punisher now and go take down everybody. So that's kind of what this is. It's fine. It's, this issue is, I don't think really anything special. I do think this is kind of the least interesting of the 3 that I've read so far. I will say there is one very cool sequence here where Joe has decided that he's really gonna, be the Punisher. I guess all his wounds just kind of heal. Not actually, but he just seems to kind of start ignoring them. And there's a really cool part, which is throughout the issue, his guy in the chair, AAA, is kind of monitoring his heartbeat. And so at this point, he kind of steals his resolve. He just had his hallucination, talk with his family. He's like, okay, I'm gonna take down Fearmaster. And then so we see it's a shot. It's a panel of his chest, the Punisher logo on his chest, which this version has the light up thing. It's not lit up in this version, but it's there. And you see like, his heartbeat monitor, but it's very much like kind of like, the low heartbeat kind of one where there's not a lot of spikes and stuff. It's just kind of the one. And then it cuts to a panel of Fearmaster, and then it cuts back to that logo on his chest, but now it's lit up and the heartbeat is way stronger. And then he kind of busts in and like really like does a big old punch. So that was a really cool kind of just visually. I really liked how that was broken down. But outside of that, it's pretty standard. And then because one of the police that are going after Joe dies from Fearmaster. And then so the other one is about to die, and then Joe kind of busts in and takes down Fearmaster. And then the reveal at the end is that AAA has been kidnapped by Jigsaw, but not the original Jigsaw, like the person, but like this person is part of an organization called Jigsaw, and that's kind of where it's going in the finale next issue. So it's fine. Like I think when I break it down like that, it sounds more interesting than it is. The way it's executed, I just think it's kind of okay. Certainly not bad. I may pick up the next issue, but at the same time, I don't care about this too much. I think if this was an ongoing, I would keep going with it because I do think it could go to some interesting places in future. But I don't know, just this like mini series that just acts as kind of like a small short origin for this new version of the Punisher. I don't really have much interest in reading the next one. So we'll see. But yeah, that's kind of how I'm feeling about this one. I gave it a 6.
All right. So I'll talk about Power Girl next, and I did this one simply because I really don't have like a lot to say on it at all. This one was a filler issue. Had nothing to do with the main story except for the very last page, and it was just their cat Streaky having an adventure. It stopped some like evil scientist lady from stealing other cats and experimenting on other animals in general, and that was literally it. It just saved other animals from a cage thing. Yeah, and then the very end, you see Kara come into what is her name, Paige?
Yeah, Pages are human name, and then Kara Zor-El is her Kryptonian name.
Well, there's Power Girl, and then there's Supergirl.
Yes, so Kara Zor-El. Okay, so Supergirl is Kara Zor-El E-L, and then Paige is Kara Zor-El, just L, the letter L. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, that's why I'm seeing
different universe version. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so you see, Supergirl come into Power Girl's apartment, right? And she basically is like, I have a problem. You want to team up? And that's where it ends.
Okay. I'm curious, was there like any dialogue in this issue? Because I know a lot of times when they do kind of animal POV, it'll be either no dialogue or it'll be like scribbles in the dialogue bubbles to signify that the cat can't understand what they're saying.
No, right. So there was dialogue towards the end, and it was gibberish.
Okay.
Like, it was like words, but they didn't make sense. They were like all mishmash.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, literally, like, the only thing I read in this was literally that last page where Supergirl, like, actually came into the apartment.
Yeah.
But everything with the cat, like, flying around town and stuff like that, that was, like, literally, there was nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't even, like, interesting, at the very least. Like, if I had, like, a couple meows, like, maybe a meow bubble here and there, maybe I'd be more interested. It was literally just pictures of the cat, like, flying around.
I love how that's your problem. Like this story doesn't have enough meows.
Like, no, it's like, it's not even, like, the meow. It's, like, it's just, like, it's not even, like, interesting at all. Yeah. It's just, it's the cat sees a problem, looks up, goes, meets other cats. They just, like, stare at each other. It flies around, figures out that, oh, these henchmen are stealing the cats, it like just like goes into the van with the henchmen, and then they meet the bad guy, and it's stuff like it doesn't even defeat the bad guy if I remember correctly. It just saves the animals, and it was that was it. It wasn't enjoyable at all.
Sounds really good.
I hate you.
You should have read this week, Sebastian.
I really should have.
Actually, it probably yeah. Here's the thing. Okay, well, we'll get to that later. But I don't hate what you made me read as much as I think you do.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. But yeah, I gave this a 4.
All right. Is this the worst thing you read this week?
No.
God, I cannot wait to talk about Skeeters. We'll get there. I'm not going to talk about it right now, but we'll get there. I'm really interested to hear what you have to say on that one. Okay. Do you have anything else on Power Girl or no?
No.
Okay. I'm going to head over to Universal Monsters Dracula, number 4. This is the finale of this series. It's written by James Tynion IV. The artist here is Martin Simmons. And yeah, it's a great conclusion. I think this really kind of wraps things up in a way that is just really effective. Obviously, that's not entirely, that's not entirely down to this series because it is based on, it's adapted from a movie. But I think the way it's still like it's adapted very well, and I think it's just an incredible wrap up of the series. Also, I think the thing that really was effective for me here is that it's kind of fucking scary. Like it's been creepy throughout the series, but this really makes, I think, Dracula just kind of actually pretty fucking creepy. Like, I just obviously, like, we're adults, right? So I don't read this and be like, I'm not gonna have trouble sleeping after reading this. But I think, like, if I had read this when I was like, I don't know, 12, like this probably would give me nightmares. And that is a lot of that's down to Martin Simmons' terrific art. Obviously Renfield looks fucking creepy as all hell. And in this issue, so does Mina, because Mina has been not turned. I don't know the exact kind of specification, but essentially it's like she's not been turned yet, but she's kind of been like partially turned, but her soul's not all the way gone. She's gonna be like get married to Dracula. She's gonna be the bride of Dracula.
Yeah.
So she's not quite full vampire yet, but she's kind of on the way to becoming full vampire. So yeah, so that's part of this, and then it's essentially Harker, Quincy Harker, and John Seward, and also Van Helsing going in and trying to kind of save her and also take down Dracula. So we also have Renfield dies in this, and I think it's quite effective. I think he doesn't get what I would. It's not a redemption arc that he gets, but he does kind of, because he does kind of actually kind of revert. And once he's back around Dracula, and he very much is like, he's very much kind of sucking up to Dracula, and Dracula's giving him rats and stuff, and he just like, he cannot help it. He literally cannot help it. He's under Dracula's power. So he doesn't kind of stand up to Dracula in that way. But after he's been kind of mortally injured, he does have a really nice conversation with Dr. Seward, who, Renfield is essentially just asking, like, to be viewed as a human and not this kind of monster in his last moments. And so it's a really nice scene between those two. At that point, Van Helsing does kill Dracula in this. He states him through the heart, and then they save Mina. There's a really just great conversation between Van Helsing and Dr. Seward early in the issue. Like, it's just it really works. Just on every level, it really works. Obviously, we've thought about this every time we've talked about this series, but the art kills it. It's fantastic. It really is just like so fantastic for this particular story. And then I think the other thing that really impressed me about this series is Dracula is barely in it, but his presence is still so like powerful and imposing across the entire series. Like, you really feel his impact, even though he's barely in it. We don't see much of him. And I think he only speaks once, and that's in this issue. He says 2 words across the entire series, Van Helsing. That's all he says. We see him say Van Helsing right before he gets stabbed, and that's it. That's his only line. So it's a testament to the writing that he's able to still feel so imposing, despite the fact that he's barely in the series. So yeah, really exceptional. Like, it's excellent. I gave it a 9. This had a very real shot to be my pick of the week. I almost want to give this a 10. But fuck it. No. Oh God, this is always the dilemma, isn't it? You know what? I'll give it a 10. I think that it wraps up the series in such a satisfying way that I think I'd give it a 10. So this is not going to be the last of these Universal Monsters series from Image. The next one is in April. It's the creature from the Black Lagoon lives. So
Oh, that thing. All right.
yeah, I'll probably be checking that out. I don't know if you will, but
Yeah. I've been enjoying these, and
Yeah.
this is obviously related to like the Universal like Dark Universe, so I'm interested in that as well.
The Dark Universe is kind of back. I actually, to be fair, like the Dark Universe seems like it might have an actual shot this time, because they're getting good filmmakers. So
yeah, and they're making a theme park out of it.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
I think the Wolfman is coming out this year, and that's directed by Lee Winnell, who is a good director. So I will probably see that. But yeah, anyway, very good series. I really enjoyed it. Yep.
Yeah, nice. I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed what I've read so far too.
Well, I will talk about Ghost Machine #1 now.
Okay. I did pick this up. I was gonna read it, but I just kind of ended up not having the time to do it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just basically just like a time, like not a timeline. It's just a tease of what Image Comics is planning on doing this year, and just throughout the months. And I will say it got me excited for what's for some of the stuff that they plan on releasing.
Yeah.
I kind of talk about it in order here. Firstly, they introduce their first, or I don't know if it's their first or if it's just the first in general. I believe it's just their first. First fully shared creator-owned universe, which is the Unnamed, I believe. Is what they're just like going to call the universe. I don't know exactly what they're going to call the universe. I guess the Unnamed is just a bunch of characters, but it's Geiger, Redcoat, Junkyard Joe.
Is there an actual Junkyard Joe story in this, or is it just like the data pages?
It's more of like a data page of like who exactly is Junkyard Joe.
Yeah.
He's going to be in one of the series, I guess.
Right.
He's going to show up in one of the series.
Okay.
Yeah. So a bunch of these like. We only really got a snippet of, I would say, Geiger and Redcoat in this one. Geiger, well, that's not part of the Unnamed.
Oh, that's a different thing? Okay, never mind.
So the Unnamed specifically was, so we got a bit of a snippet, like kind of background on Geiger and Redcoat. And through Redcoat, we got introduced to some of the other ones, which would be Junkyard Joe and the Northerner. And so it was just like a bunch of info dump on these characters that they plan on releasing. Although Geiger and Junkyard Joe have actually already been introduced, but
I don't know much about the first Geiger series, but I've heard Junkyard Joe is very good.
So those are coming back in a new ongoing, coming out in April. Geiger and Redcoat specifically.
Pretty much all of these though are coming out in April. Yeah.
Yes. And then so that one I got really excited for because it's an ongoing like expanding universe, so that's exciting. And then the one I think I was most excited for was Rook, which seems super interesting. It's like this post-apocalyptic world where they have like these helmets that like control certain animals. So like our main character, from what I'm assuming, is like he has like a crow helmet, so he can control crows and stuff. And we get introduced to two others. Someone called Swine, who can control like pigs, and then the other one called Direwolf, which she can control wolves. So but this one seems super interesting, and I'm mostly excited for this one specifically. Also coming out in April, and then we just got a bunch of like 2-page tidbits for the rest of these. Actually, never mind. Rockefellers and Hornsby and Halo are the next ones, and I'm not sure how to feel about these ones right now.
Those ones look more family oriented, right?
Yeah. These two definitely. The Rockefellers kind of reminded me of like the Shazam family in a way.
Okay.
It's just like this big family, and I don't know if it's set in the future or where it's set exactly, what time period, but there's some interesting technology. Let's just say I'd assume in the future, but not like future, like where it's like super like sci-fi and stuff like that. But there's some like holograms and stuff like that. But it shows them getting what they thought getting chased by, I assume, some sort of company, but it turns out to just be their neighbor and stuff. So I don't really know what to make of that one yet. And then Hornsby and Halo was probably the one that I was least excited for. It was essentially like devils and angels are at war with each other. So in order to stop the war, they sent an age-old child to live with the devil family and a devil child to live with an angel family, and basically just like I guess they're just like going over the words. I don't remember the words exactly they used, but it was like I think it was nature over nurture, and they were hoping nurture wins, if what I remember correctly, something like that. Yeah. And then we got Hyde Street, which seems to be to me like gonna be like a horror comic, so you might like this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know exactly what happened here, but some dude was mean to a Boy Scout, and the Boy Scout blew like a dog whistle, and the dog whistle started chasing the dude, ran into the street. A truck got scared of the dog and ran the dude over instead of running over the dog. So yeah, I don't know. That's gonna be like a chain of event type thing, I guess. And then the last one was Devour, which I literally had 2 pages to go off of, and it was this bigger lady goes into the store that was like fat free, and the clerk lady was like, all you need is just one of these, and it was just Devour on a box. So yeah, don't really know what to make of that one, but yeah, I mean, I'm excited for these. Specifically, the Geiger, Redcoat, and Rook series come out in April. Specifically, those ones got me really excited, and the other ones we'll see how they turn out. But yeah. I don't really have a rating for this simply because it was just like
that makes sense,
showing what's coming out. But I'll say the one I'm most excited for is Rook, then Geiger, then Redcoat. I'll say that.
Okay. All right. Well, okay, I'll talk about Bone Orchard Mythos, actually. That works. This is the Bone Orchard Mythos Tenement number 8, written by Jeff Lemire. The artist is Andrea Sorrentino. That's the same creative team as always. We're coming up on the finale for this series. It's not that far off. Only 2 more issues left of the series. This issue was very good. This is kind of, because in the past couple issues I've kind of mentioned how it's kind of ground the momentum to a halt in a lot of ways. In issue number 6, they kind of a look at each of the characters individually, and kind of what makes them tick, some of their motivations. And then last issue was the kind of backstory on Felix and kind of the origin of the Tenement whole predicament as well. So this issue kind of kicks the plot back into gear. And by kind of, I mean it really fucking heavily kicks the plot back into gear. To the point where I actually, like, if this had been the finale for the series, I think it would have worked really well. There's 2 more issues, and I think I'm excited to see where it goes as well. But this really could have worked as the finale. So essentially, they're now on floor 3. The gang is all there. Felix is with them now, having been rediscovered in the past couple issues. So floor 3, visually, very cool. It's essentially like it's fuck, what do they call it? I don't know. It was the something maze, and it's essentially it's like a maze of like staircases that are really warped, and there's really weird like twisted architecture that just looks really cool. And so they have to kind of make their way through this maze and get to the next floor. In this though, we find out that Felix actually fucking sucks because he tries to sacrifice Isaac to Usul, who is one of the kind of deity creature beings that he's trying to find out more about, because essentially if you have to sacrifice somebody on this floor to get to the next floor is what it seems like it's saying. And so Felix is like, I have to see what's in floor 2. I've never been past this point before. I have to see what's in floor 2. I have to see what's in floor 2. So he tries to sacrifice Isaac. And this is also the point where the characters all finally clicked for me. It took a long ass time to get there, but the characters all fucking clicked for me here. Even Gary, who is the asshole dude who was just a dick to everybody in the early parts. There's a point in this where he kind of sacrifices himself for Isaac and his mom to escape. He manages to get out of that situation. He seems like he loses his eye, but he does manage to get out of that situation. And then, once like he kind of gets back to the situation, to the area where Felix is trying to sacrifice Isaac, he's essentially like, well, Usul needs a sacrifice, so I'll just sacrifice you instead, because you're about to sacrifice the kid. So then he just like, he stabs Felix through, and has kind of a big kind of hero moment, which I think worked really well. I think I'm liking how the characters are kind of bouncing off each other now. I think it all kind of works. And so this issue ends with them getting to floor number 2 and seeing who I'm pretty sure is one of the dead characters from an earlier issue. I don't remember which one, but I think one of the characters who died earlier on is just hanging out in floor 2. It looks like kind of the stereotypical way that heaven is often portrayed. So kind of a very, kind of this full of like white clouds that people are kind of like walking across, kind of thing like that. So yeah, I mean, the series has been very good so far. I think this is one of the better issues. I think it works really well. The art is fantastic here again. I think, we're back into the kind of stories in this series that mean that the art is able to be kind of really cool and, lots of cool creative panel layouts that works really well. So I think this was very good, and I gave it an 8. I think it was, a very solid entry in the series.
All right, nice. Yeah. Yeah, I read it. I read it. I enjoyed it.
You didn't? No, you didn't. You read. I think you only read like the first 3 or something.
I don't remember how many I read. I'm
Yeah.
gonna be honest. Yeah. All right. Well, moving on. We are gonna talk about Green Arrow number 8.
Okay. So this would be Green Arrow number 8, written by Joshua Williamson. The artist is Phil Hester. What do you think about the art here? I was curious to hear your opinions on that.
It changed. I thought it was simply just the way the story was being told at first, but like it was a very different change. It was a very big change in my opinion. Yeah,
it's very stylized. I settled into it. I didn't like it at the start too much, but I think it did really work actually the more I got farther into it. I do also want to just point out this cover is very fun. All the sound effects and stuff. There's also, I don't know if this is an intentional Easter egg, but there's a thwip sound effect in there as well, which is obviously Spider-Man's. His main sound effect is always thwip with the web slinging. But yeah, so this essentially, it kind of, actually it doesn't really pick up right where the last issue left off. It's a little bit of a time jump because it's Connor over Oliver's dead body. It's like, Onomatopoeia came in and just killed him immediately. And so it then kind of follows Connor trying to go and find Onomatopoeia and take him down. And so, he ends up on a yacht with Onomatopoeia. I guess is working for a dude named Brick, who himself is working for Waller. Kind of. We'll get kind of back around to that in a second. But so they're kind of doing this party on a yacht, and which is obviously like you're on a yacht in a superhero comic, so you're probably the villain. Just immediately, that's how that usually goes. So and then Connor shows up, and he and Onomatopoeia have a bit of a fight, which I really like that 2-page spread, by the way. I think that was really cool, where they're just kind of fighting. There's a really cool part of there where they do the sound effect, and inside the sound effect is where the panel is, and you kind of see the fight. It's very cool. But then it kind of, I don't want to say it goes off the rails, but I don't really understand this twist, because the twist is that actually Onomatopoeia didn't kill Oliver. That's not really a twist. Like, nobody really expected him to die in this. But the twist is that for most of this issue, Onomatopoeia has actually just been Oliver in his costume, in Onomatopoeia's costume. Which is like, why, though? I don't really understand.
So they could track down who hired Onomatopoeia.
Yeah, but, like, wouldn't they have to... Like, wouldn't it make more sense to, like, let Onomatopoeia go and follow him back to... make him think he killed Oliver and then follow him back to the boat instead of just... Because how would they have known otherwise, instead of just, like, posing as him and then going to the boat anyway?
But, I mean, Onomatopoeia got the drop on them in the first place. For them to just plan that on the spot, just instantly,
I guess.
Pretend he killed me and you track him down. Like, that's just, like...
I did really like how, when we do actually see how the fight actually went, it was just, like, Onomatopoeia dropped in, tried to shoot them, the arrows just immediately plugged up the gun barrels with their own arrows, and then they just knocked him out immediately. I was like, that's fun. I think it kind of worked because we got to see an Onomatopoeia fight with Oliver posing as Onomatopoeia. That was kind of the cool, kind of bigger action sequence. But when we actually saw this, just like, he got taken down so quick. So, but I just think also, like, it just doesn't, like, I don't understand why, like, if you wanted to find out who he's working for, just, like, go to the boat anyway. Like, I don't know why you need to be dressed up as Onomatopoeia and make him think that Oliver's dead. And it's just, like, it felt like a very weird kind of convoluted plan. That being said, and I get that they kind of wanted to have, like, they didn't think that Brick would tell them. So they were hoping that he would just exposit to Onomatopoeia. But Onomatopoeia doesn't talk. He just does sound effects. So I don't really know, like, how they were planning to lead that conversation there. Regardless, though, the big revelation here is, well, there's a couple. I think the main one, though, is that we actually kind of figure out more of Waller's plan here, which is that she has kind of declared open season on superheroes, where if you kill a superhero, you get a pardon. And you don't have to do Suicide Squad stuff anymore. You the bombs out of your head, everything. So there's that. And then there's also Roy Arsenal is working for Waller now as well. Almost certainly brainwashed or some other kind of mind control thing, but we'll kind of see how that develops as it goes. So those are kind of the big things. I do think it's good though. Still, I don't think I liked it as much as last issue, but I did still have a good time with it, despite the weird plan from them.
Yeah. So, I have a dilemma here.
Okay, what's the dilemma?
I don't know if I'm still going to implement my rule.
I don't think you can, because they did fight.
Okay, it was a scuffle at best.
But they did fight.
I don't know, man.
It was a page, but it wasn't like
the
they just didn't
synopsis.
fight at all.
The Emerald Archer versus Onomatopoeia. Green Arrow hits the street for Star City in search of lost family, whatever. Onomatopoeia. After months of time, Oliver welcomes the more grounded adventure until bang, 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 whatever. But specifically says right here, the Emerald Archer versus Onomatopoeia. My man, it was like a half-page, like a one-page spread of them. That's it.
Yeah, but like if you're gonna go like, oh, they didn't fight enough, like that seems like a slippery slope of a rule there.
That's
like,
why I have a dilemma here, right? Because for the Hulk versus Man Thing one, right? That one wasn't a fight. It was literally like Hulk punched him once, and Man Thing was like, "Yo, calm down."
And then
but then, yeah, exactly. But this one, I don't even know if I want to call that a fight either.
I think like it's
that
still,
was just so fast.
They still fought each other though. It was just like clearly Onomatopoeia was outclassed.
Like that's the thing. I don't even know if it was considered a fight. He literally broke a window and that was it.
He tried to shoot them. Listen, man. I mean, like it's your rating. Like do whatever you want. But I don't think it's fair to implement your rule for this one personally.
Oh man, I was thinking about this for I literally as soon as I finished reading this, I was like, yo, I instantly went to the synopsis. I was like, there's no way. I was like, I was thinking about this I just didn't know. All right, here, you know what? I'll give it a 6.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. I give it an 8. I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. Moving on here, I am going to talk about Daredevil Black Armor.
All right.
For me, this is issue number 3. It is written by D.G. Chichester. The artist here is Netho Diaz. So you've read issue number 2 now.
I did read issue number 2.
Yeah. I kind of know what you thought, but what do you think about issue number 2?
I quite liked actually issue number 2. It was I thought it was a lot better than issue number 1.
I agree.
Thought some of the characters they introduced in the second one were surprising to me. Specifically that ending one was just Mole Man just trapped in a cage.
Yeah, right.
I was like, yo, who you?
I forgot he was in that. He's not in the 3rd issue, so.
At all. Huh.
Yeah.
All right, so they just forgot about his ass. All right, interesting. But yeah, I quite enjoyed number 2 actually.
Yeah, I agree. I like number 2. So I was saying before we started recording, I read this issue over 2 sittings. I read the first half when I was at work, and I quite liked the first half. I read the second half when I was back home, and I didn't like the second half. So I don't know if it's a situation of like I was just at work, so I liked it more because I was at work, or if I genuinely just liked the first half and not the second. Because I think the first half works well. There's some good like Matt dialogue back and forth between him and the other characters. Mr. Hyde is in this issue again. I talked about this like a couple weeks ago. Like it might actually have been last week. I'm like, why the fuck is Mr. Hyde getting so much play in Marvel lately? And here he is again. Granted, this is set in the 90s, or well, okay. The Marvel has a sliding time scale, so like it's probably not actually like in the 90s at this point, but it's set during the 90s run of Daredevil. So so there's kind of a big fight in a boxing ring. This is the issue that I realized that this is actually just a boxing story with Daredevil in it. Yeah. Which I obviously like works for the character because of his upbringing and his dad's career and everything. But it's very boxing focused. So yeah, they have a kind of a big punch up in the arena. There's a bunch of people there. Mr. Hyde is mentioned. Tarantula is in the ring. Lady Deathstrike is in the ring. Batroc the Leaper is there, and then some other dude named Takagi is there. So they do a big fight. Matt gets fucking beat up so bad, but then he's able to kind of, when he's being dragged back after the fight, he's able to kind of escape and get the Daredevil suit back, and then he goes and kind of fights Strucker a little bit. I don't remember how it ends, but yeah, whatever. It's fine. I really don't know how to rate this one because I didn't like the second half, but I did quite like the first half. So I was just like, whatever. I'll give it a 5. Just put it right in the middle. I don't know. Maybe completely inaccurate, but 5 out of 10 for me. I didn't think this one was very good overall.
All right.
Let's see here. Let's go Amazon's attacks. Let's get this get this one out the way here.
Yeah. So this is written by Josie Campbell, and the artist is Vasco Georgiev. Not the worst issue in the series, but I am kind of losing track of what even is happening in this series.
I honestly to God, like, what happens?
Yeah.
I'm so lost on these characters at this point too. Like, I'm just
like,
honestly, who are you at this point?
Yeah, we have Yara, who I kind of know now because of last week's Wonder Woman issue.
Yeah.
We have her, we have Nubia, we have a little bit of Faruka, and then Cassie and Mary. So, I mean, because this issue jumps around a lot.
So much. That's why I'm like, I think that's my main problem with this series in general. It's just like, it's trying to focus on 3 characters. Like, it's fine if you focus on 3 characters when they're together. When they're in always like separate places, like always following like a different story, each of them too. It's just like, it's so hard to follow.
It's fine to jump between 3 characters. This issue is jumping between 5.
Well, because Mary and Yara end up together.
Yes, but they don't start together. That's only a later edition.
No.
I guess Cassie and Yara are together the entire issue essentially, but so it's jumping between 4 different people because we have Nubia. Is she on Themyscira or is this a vision? I don't remember at this point. I think it's a vision. But like Themyscira is in flames and everybody's mad at her for some reason. Faruka doesn't get much to do. She's just in the garden with that dead god. So and then that's at the very end, and then Peacemaker shows up and he's like, "I'm gonna kill you." He's like, "I'm gonna kill Nubia." So Nubia is probably not actually on Themyscira because she shows up at the end of this issue. But then we have most of this issue is dedicated to Mary breaking out of Belle Reve, which should be more interesting. But this was my least favorite part of the issue. I thought this was the least interesting part of the issue because this really should be like the scene in Daredevil season 3 where he goes to the prison as just Lawyer Matt, and he has to fight his way out like himself, not having the Daredevil suit at all. It should kind of be like that, but this one is just like, it kind of starts that way, but then like within a page, Mary just runs away and turns into a Shazam and turns into her Shazam version, just like slightly out of view of Count Vertigo, and then Count Vertigo's like, "Oh, what happened to that other person I was chasing? Who are you now, Mary Marvel?" I'm like, for fuck's sake. Like that, it's very similar to the big problem I had when we did the old show about old comics. When Thor would just when Donald Blake would stamp his cane in the middle of like a group of enemies, there'd be a big flash of light, and then Thor's there, and nobody fucking knows what just happened. It's not as egregious, but it's not that far off.
It really was. She like slipped into a cell, and then Mary Marvel busted out, and Carmen was like, "I know you're protecting her in there. I'm gonna kill you both now." It's like,
it's like, what? Is she? Yeah. And then here's the other thing. So there's the other kind of main story part of this is that Yara and Cassie kind of discover that the Amazon safe houses are just completely empty. There are no Amazons in there, and they're just covered in the word asylum. Like somebody has like written in blood the word asylum along the entire kind of, the walls of the safe house and everything. So that's I think that was the most interesting part of this issue for me. I'm kind of curious to see what's going on there. But they don't spend much time on that because then they just leave to go and rescue Mary. And that's kind of it. This is fine, whatever. It's not the worst issue of the series, but it's, the series, I just can't bring myself to care about the series, as I keep saying.
No, yeah, it's like I said, it's just, it's so much in such little pages. Like, the whole Nubia thing, I'm lost on that side completely.
Yeah.
Like, the Dead God thing, I guess, I still don't even remember why. They went over there, I remember, actually, for the Apple of Discord. That's where they grow.
Yeah.
And then they realized the trees, there's no more apples, and their God is dead, who they originally thought was given the apples. Yeah. And then, the asylum thing, how did that all come about? Was that new?
Kind of. Remember, I think it was at the end of issue number 2, they got teleported to a building that just said asylum on it. So that's kind of the only thing we've kind of really seen from that so far, but yeah.
I don't even remember that. Yeah, but yeah, I agree with you. The asylum thing was definitely the most interesting thing. Especially at the end. What's her face? Wonder Girl, yeah. They're flying off.
Right, I forgot about that, yeah.
Well, okay, they're both Wonder Girl. Jesus Christ, that's right.
Yeah, Cassie. Yeah.
Cassie, Wonder Girl. Cassie and Yara, I'm just gonna say, were flying off with Mary because that's how they escaped. Mary Shazammed and like basically it's like knocked all the villains like away so they could escape. So they're flying through the air, and I don't remember who exactly said it, but it was either Mary or Yara that said asylum.
Yeah.
And Wonder Girl or Cassie basically like seemed to like go into like a trance.
Yeah, I kind of liken it to like Winter Soldier awakening through the words.
Yeah. She said something. I don't remember what she said exactly, but then she like starts falling out of the sky with Mary. So that's that's something interesting there because beforehand it didn't affect her at all when her and Yara were just talking about it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what we have. I'm curious to see what exactly has changed in that small amount of time.
Yeah.
That's really it. I don't know. I give it a 6.
I also give it a 6. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. I guess I'll keep reading it. Okay, how about we move on to good old The Flash number 5?
All right.
Okay, yeah, as I mentioned, this is Flash number 5. It is written by Simon Spurrier, and the artist is Mike Deodato Jr. So as always, well, not as always, but this is the second time in a row I've made Sebastian read The Flash.
Yep.
So I'll throw it to you. How do you feel about this one?
I am still, my foot is still down on the fact that there's way too many speedsters, like Flash people in general. At this
I will
point.
say, I swear, kind of focused on one of them though.
I will, yes. All right, so this is what I'm gonna say. I think Wally has way too many fucking children. I swear, every other issue, he's like, "Yeah, this is my daughter." I'm just like, bro, how many? No, I swear to Christ, there's so many. It's always like, "Yeah, this is my daughter." Like the Flash family is just way too big, bro. Way too big. Like there's so many. Like why is every single?
I think it's just Jai, Irie, and Wade.
Okay, yeah, but not even just Wally's side of the family. Barry too.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
Like literally everybody after Barry has some sort of speedster power. Like,
yeah,
it's ridiculous. And so it's so hard to keep track of them all. Like I will say, yes, I like this one was focused on specifically one, which is Wally's son, Jai.
Yeah.
Who it's not your conventional speedster.
Yeah, he doesn't even have super speed. Yeah.
No, he like what is he? He like displaces. Is that?
Yeah, and he also has like super strength. Maybe it seems like he kind of gets a different power every so often. But yeah, he can kind of like displace himself in space, and they hint towards him being able to do that in time as well. We don't see that, but yeah, he can kind of displace himself in space.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you feel about the gorilla stuff coming back into play?
Okay, so play is a strong word there. Like it was they still don't have Flash still doesn't have enough information really about that other world and what exactly the gorillas even were doing. We don't even know what the hell they were doing. So the fact that like it disappeared for like what is that 4 comics with like nothing, it's kind of nice that they're bringing it back and hopefully trying to just settle exactly what the hell they were doing. And yeah, it's still not much was said. If I remember correctly, which I kind of don't. I just remember Jai speaking in the microphone and the gorilla Grodd not freaking out anymore because he started freaking out because he smelled Flash's son. Yeah, and then
how did this end? I feel like it was big, but I don't.
The biggest thing was Jai telling Wally that he didn't want to be a superhero.
Yeah. Oh right, there was kind of a whole bit. Yeah, there was a big thing where Wally kind of freaks out in this issue at one point. Actually, he thinks Jai's gonna die. Yeah,
he thinks he did die. Yeah.
Yeah, so he does really fucking freak out on whoever was there. I don't. Was it the stillness?
Yeah, it was the stillness. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, Jai kind of has to reel him back in. I'm kind of curious to see who that weird dude in the hat was.
Inspector Pilgrim.
Yeah, he was kind of interesting. I think the biggest problem I had with this issue is there is so much fucking techno babble. I was like, what the hell does any of this mean?
So much.
I was like, I'm not a quantum physicist, Cy Spurrier. You need to kind of dumb this down a little bit for me. I don't understand what the fuck you're talking about. But I still don't mind this. I'm not going to go as far as to say I like it, but I'm very interested in it. It's dense for sure. It's a dense read, and I don't even just mean in terms of like amount of text. I just mean in terms of like the barrier to understanding is kind of high. You have to really kind of parse through this to understand what's going on. But it's interesting and it's keeping me engaged. And yeah, I think I respect and appreciate this run so far. Even if I don't love it, but I do think it's interesting. I'm going to continue to keep reading it for sure. And yeah, I mean, you know, and so will Sebastian, because every time this issue pops up, this is what I'm going to make him read, because I think genuinely this is the one that I am most wanting him to keep going with, more than like Captain America or anything. So yeah, I give it a 6.
Yeah. So this issue, I didn't entirely mind the stuff with Jai specifically. Like him speaking to the inspector, I thought was really interesting. Kind of just learning about him in general was interesting, because rather than just like them like throwing like, oh yeah, this kid, and this kid is here all of a sudden, and they're like trying to track down Wally and stuff like that. And it's just like, okay, hold on, there's too many fucking Flash people. It focused specifically on Jai, you know, just like his problems with his dad specifically as well.
Yeah, and kind of coming to learn that his dad is not actually perfect. Like he does his best, but he has some flaws. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you know, it's not like it's heavily like most of the comic is focused on Jai, but not all of it specifically. There are some like couple tidbits here and there between Wally and Impulse, specifically when Jai's like hiding in like bushes and stuff like that. When he's like places where he's not supposed to be, it like focuses more on like the Wally conversation and stuff like that. But yeah, I didn't overly dislike this one, but it's like you said, it's super dense in the fact that there's just so much to understand and stuff like that. So you know, I gave it a 5.
All right.
Okay, I'll just talk about Superior Spider-Man real quick. Okay, so in this one, he I'll briefly talk about the last one real quick, because it kind of coincides with this one. I believe if I'm remembering this correctly, in the last one, Anna Maria Marconi got kidnapped by Supernova, and so in this one, it's Doc Ock and Spider-Man teaming up, quote unquote, to get her back, and it's basically Peter is gonna dress up as Superior Spider-Man, so Otto, and go to one of Otto's secret bases, where he has basically a material, like an element that can stop Supernova. And so it's basically Otto in Peter's ear coaching Peter how to be Superior Spider-Man. And I thought it was super enjoyable, first of all, because seeing Peter act out as Superior Spider-Man in the first place is just super funny, just seeing him like botch everything. Like literally there was one part where Otto told him to say a word. I don't remember that word. It was like something like that.
I flipped through this, but I know what you're talking about. I did see that scene. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was, and then Otto repeats it. And Peter just quickly corrects himself, like this word actually. It's just like okay. And then at the end, the henchmen are like, so can we just like leave now? Otto's like, no, you gotta tell them we need an army. We gotta go save them. And Peter's like, yeah, just take the day off, get lunch, use the company card. It's fine. It's just like Otto's like, what the fuck are you doing? He's like, nah, we don't need them. We got you and me. And so yeah, it was just super enjoyable to see just Peter act out as Superior Spider-Man. And at the end, Otto like betrays him and knocks him out, and he essentially says that he's gonna put himself, like, in order to save Anna, he needs a better Spider-Man, and so he's gonna put himself back into Peter's body to become Superior Spider-Man again.
Right.
And yeah, that's how it ends. Like I said, I thought this was super enjoyable. It was super fun to read. Just Peter interact with Otto in that sense. And, you know, they were just constantly hating on each other, which was super funny. So, yeah, I gave this a 7.
Yeah, I was interested to see if they would ever actually end up putting Otto back in Peter's body, because it kind of almost wasn't looking like that was going to be the way they were going with this.
Yeah.
But, okay, well, I'm going to move on to G.O.D.S here real quick. Speaking of confusing issues... So, this is written by Jonathan Hickman. The artist is Valerio Schiti. Okay, here's the thing with this. I liked this, but I've talked about previously with the series how I was impressed that Jonathan Hickman was able to introduce so many new concepts without making it feel overwhelming or confusing or anything like that. I think this is the issue where the series started kind of to crumble under the weight of its own ideas. There's a lot going on here. and I don't remember what a lot of it is. Like, there's like God, so there's like there's the powers that be and the natural order of things, right? I get that, and the Centivars and all that stuff, the prime, all the prime numbers, all that stuff. I get all that, but then there's like also there's the Cassandras, who are people who can see the future, but they can't, like, nobody believes them, so they can't like actually help prevent the end of the world.
Yeah.
There's Oblivion, but there's also some other. Yeah. Then there's like Cubist Core and some other guy who I thought was also Cubist Core for a while. There's the In-Betweener, who I kept getting mixed up with Oblivion.
I thought the In-Betweener was the Cubist Core guy.
I don't know. Maybe he is. I'm not sure. So, yeah. There's like a weird... I don't know what the fuck was going on. And there's like a weird time loop section in this issue. And I was so lost as to what was going on. I didn't see any indication of like resetting of the loop, but I don't know who they were fighting in that one. Was it I think it was the dude in the box, right? In the Skinner box.
So Cassandra, right? She came into, I forgot where that place was called.
The Library of Worlds or something.
Yeah, the Library of Worlds or whatever. And she shot an AIM scientist who I believe was the In-Betweener, right? He was like raised in the Skinner box by Oblivion in order to like essentially end the world, I guess.
Wait, what? I thought the dude in the Skinner box was just a random dude.
Well, right. So I thought the dude in the Skinner box, right, was raised. Obviously, he was raised by Oblivion in the Skinner box, right? And Oblivion sent him out into the real world.
No, he was raised by the In-Betweener.
I thought it was Oblivion.
No, it was this. I know this was the In-Betweener.
Okay, so In-Betweener raised him?
That being said, I thought it was Oblivion for a while at first because the dialogue matched, like the
that's why I thought it was Oblivion.
But then later in the issue, after essentially, he gets raised to be do nothing but be really good at math, essentially, in the Skinner box. And then he goes out into the world and he doesn't have any kind of he doesn't really know how to interact with anybody. So he goes in and he like joins up with AIM, but then he realizes that even then he's kind of an outcast because they have more kind of social skills than he does. So then he's like, then he gets like really like just distraught, and he's like, please, like help me, like get out of the situation. And then the In-Betweener shows up. So I don't know like if Oblivion raised him and then the In-Betweener came to him later, but I kind of assumed it was the same person across both. So I really don't know. Yeah.
Well, anyway. Cassandra like eventually foresaw this whole thing, and so she was like, I have to kill essentially the AIM scientist that like was in the Library of Worlds or whatever.
I didn't know that Cassandra was in the Library of Worlds. I thought she was in a different fucking place.
No. She showed up there.
I see. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, she shot him, and that's when that weird object, I don't even know what shape that was. It was like a dodecahedron or something like that.
Yeah.
It was, so it like started flashing, and I guess it was gonna like blow everything up, which is what Oblivion wanted,
Yeah.
And that's when Doctor Strange did his like, time loop thing. And I noticed that the dialogue changed every time it went back.
Yeah, it's just they were making more progress throughout the loop.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the dialogue kept changing. That's how I knew that there was like a loop. At first I thought it was just like him just constantly rewinding it and stuff like that. Then I realized, okay, it's a loop because he's getting closer and closer and closer. And so all they did was just punch him and it stopped it, I guess. I don't know. But then Wynn and then Strange go and essentially locate the Skinner box that the AIM scientist came from, enter it, and they discover like a whole other world or something.
Yeah, I guess there's another door. See, but I couldn't tell if that was the same Skinner box or if it was a different one. And then they see a person in that Skinner box, and I couldn't tell if that was the same person or not.
So yeah, so they took the dude, the AIM scientist, to his Skinner box. So that was his Skinner box, and they entered that one with that AIM scientist. That was the AIM scientist. Okay. He literally just entered it with them.
Yeah. I liked I think it was cool visually where they ended up.
Yes.
But,
yes.
Yeah. So as is probably pretty evident, I had no idea what the fuck was going on in this issue. That being said, despite me kind of ranting about it, I still liked it. I don't really know why, but I'm kind of just engaged by the dialogue. I think the characters are cool. I liked the concepts. I just don't. It's really hard to wrap my head around all of them and remember all of them, and then kind of figure out how they interplay with each other. So like, I like it conceptually, but it's just the sheer volume of concepts is kind of, I think, really like kind of starting to weigh on the series. So I did like it though. I thought it was good.
Yeah, you've really got to take this one at a slower pace. You can't just like
Yeah.
speed through this. You will get so lost. You can
Yeah.
really got to like sit down, read this, understand it, because holy cow, like we got lost. So I thought
Yeah.
it was always Oblivion. I thought the in-betweener was the I don't know. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoyed this one too. I really loved that whole looping sequence thing. The beginning part was where it kind of lost me. That's where like they were introducing Cassandra. Like, who the fuck is
Well,
Cassandra?
Cassandra got introduced in the last issue.
See, I don't even remember that.
That was kind of how that last issue ended, and then Oblivion popped out and was like, "I am Oblivion." Did you read issue number 3? Okay,
yes, that's right. I don't remember. I remember Oblivion getting introduced in that one. I don't remember Cassandra being introduced in that one.
Yeah, that's kind of where it explains their whole deal a little bit more.
Yeah, I remember Oblivion though. That one had a cool sequence with Dimitri talking to him, and you saw the actual god.
Yeah. That was cool.
That was a cool little snip right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. It was just it's getting very, very. It's very heavy. It's very heavy.
Yeah. So what? Okay, so this is also very dense. What makes you like this one where you don't like Flash?
All right. So Flash, I just find boring. This one I don't.
Okay.
That's simple.
Okay. All right. Well, I give it an 8.
Oh yeah, I gave it an 8.
We doing Skeeters or we doing Thor?
I'm already on Skeeters, bro.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay, this is Skeeters number 2, written by Bob Franz and Kevin Koof, and the artist is Kelly Williams. This is what Sebastian made me read. It's fucking insane. This is like, because the first issue comes out, right, and it's like, okay, it's like arachnophobia, right, where it's like it's big. It's what if mosquitoes were big and scary. And then this issue comes out, and it's like, they're aliens from the moon. Apollo 17 went to the moon and they brought back aliens, and now they're converting all the animals into big mosquitoes. Like, what the fuck? So I don't know what your rating is on this.
No.
It sounds like you don't like it. Where are you at with this?
All right, so I'm not gonna lie. I felt so bad making you read this. I fucking hated this so much. I literally hated. I hated everything about it. Like I finished reading this, and I was like, I had to stop for the day. I literally didn't read anything else the entire day. I was like just traumatized. It was so fucking bad, dude. Like I didn't even like the art in this one. This issue, like I don't love
the art. Yeah,
I didn't mind it last issue. I was like, okay, this is pretty new. I fucking hated it this issue. The story as well was awful. I hated the two. I hated the two people in the van. I thought they were going to be more interesting with them, trying to run away from this stupid ass mosquito. All they did was hide in the stupid van while it poked holes in the van, and then they escaped anyway.
Don't forget, one of them lit it on fire.
He lit the gasoline on fire, where it led to the fuel tank, so it was going to blow up. So that's how they had to run away. Like, it's just everything about this. They call the sheriff. She shows up. They shoot a bunch. Like, they find the farmer. He's infected. He's a giant mosquito thing.
Yeah.
They shoot him dead. Then they shoot the security guard from the secret place.
The shoulder. Yeah.
They shoot him in the shoulder, and so he just comes out and explains everything.
Yeah, he is completely unfazed by just being shot as well. He has no reaction.
Yeah. And then he usually these people try to keep it hush hush. No, he just is open. Like,
it's like, here's a secret government project that we're working on. There's aliens. Yeah.
And then there's a queen now, where the scientist just offered himself to the queen at the very end as well.
Yeah, that confused me. I didn't really know what was going on there. Yeah.
Oh my god. I did not like this at all.
That's interesting, because I just took this as a straight comedy, and I think I much more enjoyed it because of that.
Yeah.
I kind of liked this. I thought this was better than the first issue.
Yeah, I think I took this one a bit too. Oh my fuck, no, just no.
Because I thought
this is a comedy.
I thought this was pretty funny. Like when the gas tank was on fire and the dude was just stoned out of his mind. He's like, dude,
Yeah.
I have the best idea. He just lights it on fire, and then the other guy's like, bro, we're gonna blow up. He's like, oh shit, I didn't think about that. And then I think, once it started going into the alien stuff, it just became so ludicrous that I was just like, this has to be just like a completely ridiculous, like absurdist comedy thing. Like, there is no way the writers here are playing this seriously. And so I kind of enjoyed it more as a result of that.
Yeah.
I'm probably still not going to get the next issue, but I did think this was kind of fun. I didn't mind this one.
No, I don't. See, because I remember the joke. I just think it all missed. Like, they're about to die. This man's stoned out of his mind. Like, I understand, like, stoned out of his mind. He's not really thinking clearly, but Jesus, to light the fucking gas tank on fire, like.
The other joke I did like is when the sheriff gets there and the dude is raving about cryptids and she's like, is he like on something right now? Is he high? And the other dude is like, oh, he's totally baked. He's not lying though. Like, I thought that was
that
fun.
one actually. I will say I did enjoy that part. Where she's like, is he okay? He's like, no, he's baked out of his mind, but he's not wrong.
Yeah,
like, he's not wrong. Like, this is actually happening. Like that, I will say I did enjoy that specific line, but that's I think like literally only thing.
Yeah,
I kind of forgot about that line.
Yeah, I'm really curious what you rated this.
I'm giving it a 3.
Damn. Okay. I have it at a 7. I could almost see myself giving this an 8. I don't think I'm going to, but I kind of like this one. So, are you planning to pick up issue number 3?
Oh God, no.
I'm gonna watch this space. I might. We'll see what happens. Anyway, yeah, I'll keep it at a 7 for now. But honestly, I didn't mind this one. I thought it was kind of fun.
Yeah, not for me.
Okay, so that would leave us with Immortal Thor number 6 here. This is written by Al Ewing. The artist is Martin Kokolo. So I have been waiting to talk about this issue since I read it on Monday. Or no, I read it on Sunday actually. Yeah. And I have not been able to stop thinking about this issue since. So my thoughts are still a little bit unorganized right now. I'm going to throw to you first here and see what you thought about it, because I have a lot of thoughts on this and I'm going to try and kind of organize them right now.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed this one, first of all. It's basically just an entire, it's told from the viewpoint of Loki and Thor, kind of Thor as well. Loki's narrating, and they're both sitting at a campfire, and he's just narrating a story from their past in order for, I think, for Thor, Thor wanted Loki to do this so they can understand where the old god, the old gods, U.G.O.D, come from specifically, because now that Thor is the Allfather, he has the knowledge that comes with being the Allfather of all the Aesir and stuff like that. And so basically, so Loki tells a story of their past.
Which, by the way, that is because we see at the very end, to jump ahead a little bit, we see Dario Adra, the Minotaur, reading a Thor comic. It's Thor number 272. I have read that issue. It is exactly the story that's being told here.
So it's the same story, and there's little cuts here and there of Thor basically being was that the one I specifically remember was him being a jerk to Loki, and Thor being was I really like this? And Loki was you sometimes, but sometimes you're actually pretty decent, and Thor was but
also sometimes you were worse.
Yeah, and so Thor was I'm sorry for everything I've done, and Loki kind of just he brushes it off as well, oh well.
Right.
And so they continue telling the story of them crossing a river, I don't remember what it's called, into this enchanted forest where they meet this giant.
Yeah, Skrymir.
Yes, Skrymir. And they meet the giant. He offers them to take him back to their to his kingdom, to where he lives essentially, so he can meet the king.
Hall. Yeah,
so the king can give him a bunch of stuff, whatever, gifts. And Thor and Loki are super hungry, so they ask Skrymir to share some of his food, and Skrymir's gladly, it's
it's a nibble for me, but it's probably like a feast for you guys. So he just like sets the bag down where all the food is in, and he's like, I'm just gonna sleep while you guys go eat. Just untie the knot to get to the food. And Thor and Loki from the past struggle to even open it. They can't open it at all. And so Thor gets mad and blames it on the giant. And we cut to President Thor, the one being told the story or whatever, being like, did I really do this? Like, am I that like naive to like blame someone else for my own problem? And Loki was like, yeah.
Yeah. And also like, am I so quick to just like try to kill somebody for it as well?
Yeah. Because he's like, all right, I'm just gonna lob off this giant's head because I can't open his bag.
Yeah.
And he tries, and literally the giant's just like, yeah, a leaf full must have fallen on my head. I wonder what that was. And Thor's like, yeah, it was nothing. I think that was it. I don't remember.
Yeah.
That was that, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it ends with Screamer being like, I'm going to take you to the Utgard Hall.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have talked a lot about Al Ewing. I think I've talked to I've talked to Sebastian about it a lot because obviously he wrote Immortal Hulk and X-Men Red, and he's writing Venom right now as well alongside Torrin Grunbeck. In almost every series that Al Ewing writes, there comes an issue that just completely blows me away that I cannot stop thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes there's more than one. There's a bunch in Immortal Thor, Immortal Hulk. There's a few in X-Men Red. There's a couple in Venom as well, where it's just like I am just so in awe of his writing in those instances. And so I was waiting for that for this series. I was really hoping it would get to that point because this is an ongoing. I think that's where Ewing works best. But as we talked about in the first arc, I think it's all been good so far up to this point, but nothing kind of really was above the rest of the pack, I feel. Like, I liked issue 4 a lot, but before this issue, I gave everything an 8. Like, I thought it was all solid, but not amazing. This is the first one that I think is genuinely genius. Like, I think the writing in this is astounding because, yeah, this is telling the same general plot of Thor number 272, which I have read. It was a while ago that I read it, but I have read it. And when I was reading this, I was like, I swear to God, this feels familiar. I was getting this like huge sense of deja vu. I was like, and it does say like, it's very clear about a flashback. So I was like, is this a natural issue? And then the more I went, I was like, I am almost positive I have read this before. And when I got to the part where Scrymer was like, oh, did a leaf fall on my head? Did like a bird shit on me? I was like, I'm pretty sure I've read that exact same dialogue. This is 100% the same thing. So, or the same plot. So there is that. But I think, I also think, obviously, like, the story's been updated. Like, the dialogue is not the same. The story's been updated. The way they, the way that Thor and Loki spoke back in that era of comics was very different.
Yes.
It was similar, but there was a lot more thee and thou and I say thee nay, and like there's kind of a lot more of that kind of eloquent Shakespearean dialogue thrown in there. They kind of have lessened on that a little bit. But so there's also the thing of this issue, and I think it's going to come into play more in the next issue. But this issue, they do also make mention of the fact that like the story is changing. Like, yes, this is retelling the same plot, but the details are changing. And just because Thor and Loki came out on top the first time, they may actually lose this time around. And so that is already very engaging. And the meta aspect of it also, as Dario Agger is reading this comic, is very interesting. There's an Immortal Thor. I don't know if it's an event that's focused on Immortal Thor, but I know there's Immortal Thor stuff going on kind of with the Roxxon age, which be going on in April, where Dario Agger kind of acquires the rights to 616 Thor. So that's going to be really interesting. I think that's kind of what's being set up here. But so I think where this becomes genius, like it's already, I think the whole changing narrative thing, that's already interesting. But where it becomes genius is, again, how kind of Sebastian was mentioning, how it weaves Thor and Loki present day into that story, because it's not really just it's not just Loki telling Thor the story, right? They seem to kind of be living it, but it's even beyond that. It's not just them kind of like their minds kind of being cast into their bodies, right? And them kind of passively being in their bodies, observing it as they kind of go through these events. They seem to kind of have to actively reenact it. Because when they get to the point where Thor tries to kill Skrymir, Thor kind of takes a beat. He hesitates a little bit before he does it. So I think there is some kind of agency there. And so I think the way that they're able to use Thor and Loki Thor and Loki's present day selves to then reflect on their past selves is just so incredible. And it really does some really great character depth there. And I particularly love how Thor handles it, because he is kind of mortified by the fact that he used to just like kill so rampantly and how he just was an asshole to Loki. But at the same time, he also knows that he's grown a lot. He's like, I cannot focus on this. Like, it's, I have to just it sucks. I hate that I just tried to kill this giant, but I've grown and I need to keep going through this memory. So like, I'm sorry, Skrymir, but like, I just have to do this. And so he doesn't dwell on it. He's got the maturity that he can look back on it and be like, I was a fucking asshole. But he's also like, I have to just accept that and move on. And I think that really works for his character right here. And the other thing I think really works well in this is his relationship with Loki. I think is really interesting in this issue, because Loki is currently in their aspect as the god of as the enemy of Thor right now, which goes back to the second issue where Loki was saying like, would you trust me do you trust me as your loyal subject, do you trust me as your brother, and do you trust me as your enemy? And so this is Loki in their aspect as Thor's enemy, but still the god of stories, right? They haven't reverted back to the god of evil or the god of mischief. They're still the god of stories. So in that regard, it's so interesting to see their dynamic, because, and credit to the art as well in this, and also the combination of the art and the dialogue, because when Loki's talking about like, when he's talking about how like kind of Thor was an asshole, sometimes better, sometimes worse, like you can really see like the kind of pain in Loki's eyes there, and you can feel it in the dialogue, and it's really effective. And then also when there's points later on where you can see just like the resentment that Loki has and still holds, even though they have developed a lot as characters, that development's still there. Like you see that in the kind of sadness behind Loki's eyes, where he's like, Thor is genuinely a good dude now, but he was an asshole, and this was a kind of a rough situation for Loki back then. But in their aspect of Thor's enemy, you also see that resentment while still keeping that character development. So just the whole way that plays out is genius. Al Ewing this is why I pick up everything that Al Ewing writes. I always, and I don't love everything Al Ewing writes. There's been series of his that I haven't been a huge fan of, but I think he so consistently is able to deliver these, stories that are just insane, just insanely amazing, and kind of outmatching, outpacing, outdoing anything else kind of on stands. He's not my favorite overall writer. He's my second favorite writer in comics right now, behind Chip Zdarsky. But this is the reason why I just pick up all this stuff. I think it's genuinely just like fascinating and genius. I love kind of everything about this. So this is an easy 10 out of 10 for me. It's my second 10 out of 10 of the year, and this is by far my favorite comic I've read so far this year. It's my pick of the week. I would go as far as to say it's probably going to be my pick of the month. I don't think anything else that came out this week, that the day that we're recording, January 31st, I don't think there's anything else that's going to beat it. So yeah, by far, I love this. This is incredible. Easy 10 for me. Yeah, I told you I had a lot of thoughts about it.
You're good. A lot of your stuff, like, genuinely, like, I agree with. Specifically the what you said about Loki, and like the way they like drew him, and when he would like when they had like their back and forths and stuff like that. Like I genuinely love Loki as a character, especially this version of Loki.
Yeah,
I think it's super interesting. And I loved this issue as well. I specifically gave it a 9. And I think it would have been a 10 if I also felt that nostalgia factor that you had felt. But since I didn't, and I gave it a 9, but I still very, very much enjoyed this issue.
Yeah.
It was definitely my pick of the week, easily. Nothing else scored this high this week. And I really enjoyed this issue.
Yeah,
really good.
I will say to your point about nostalgia, I didn't necessarily feel nostalgic because fully just like I don't really like that original issue that is based on.
Yeah.
I think the writing then was not great, but it was more just such of like the whole time I was reading this, I was like, I swear I fucking read this before. Like, am I crazy or
you're getting into that nostalgic like, have I like I swear I've read this like like
deja vu kind of thing.
Like I've never had no idea that story was a thing, So.
Yeah. Well, that'll wrap us up for this week. I think this is our longest episode we've ever recorded for this. So anyway, thanks again. Thanks as always for watching or listening. This next episode we'll be talking about I would say it's definitely a little bit lighter of a week. It's the 5th week of the month, so that's always kind of generally a little bit lighter. But there is still some interesting stuff here. We have Avengers Twilight #2. That's a quick turnaround between the issues 1 and 2.
Yes.
But that obviously that first issue was very good. So the next issue of Dark Ride has been a little bit since we've seen an issue from there. That series is coming to an end pretty soon here. So yeah, I'll be interested to see how that goes. We got Duke #2. Loved issue #1. Really excited for this one. Incredible Hulk #8. Again, this series is very solid. Spine Team with Spider-Man has its conclusion, its final issue next week. And so does Titans Beast World. That is the final issue of this event. We'll kind of see how that shapes the DC world going forward. And then also we've got World Tree #7 is this week as well. So is there anything you want to shout out here?
We've got Moon Man.
Yeah.
And Edenwood.
Yeah, I've dropped off Edenwood, so I'm curious. Curious to see what you think about that one going forward. But anyway, yeah, thanks again everybody for listening or watching. As I mentioned, if you are on YouTube, you can of course like the video if you enjoyed. You can also hit the subscribe button if you want to see more of our videos, and you can hit the bell notification if you would like to be notified every time we post a new video. If you would like to let us know what you think about the current state of comics and all that stuff, what some of your favorite series are, what some of the stuff you don't love right now is, you can do so in the comment section. And if you're on Spotify and you want to let us know what you think about all the comics that are coming out, you can do so at earthsmightiestcomicsPod@gmail.com. That is all one word with no apostrophe in the word Earth. That's our email address. That is where you can reach us there. And if you're on Spotify, you can also follow the show over there so you can make sure to be notified when we post new episodes over there as well. So yeah, again, thanks everybody for listening and sticking through this very long episode, and we will see you all in the next episode.